Chapter 18: Imperialism, Empire, and Expansion. In the years immediately following the Civil War, Americans remained astonishingly indifferent to the outside world. Enmeshed in struggles over Reconstruction and absorbed in efforts to heal the wounds of Civil War, build an industrial economy, make their cities habitable, and settle the sprawling West, most citizens took little interest in international affairs. But the sunset decades of the 19th century witnessed a momentous shift in U.S. foreign policy. America's new diplomacy reflected the far-reaching changes that were reshaping agriculture, industry, and the social structure. American statesmen also responded to the intensifying scramble of several other nations for international advantage in the dawning age of empire. By the beginning of the 20th century, America had acquired its own empire, an astonishing departure from its venerable anti-colonial traditions. The world now had to reckon with a new great power, potentially powerful, but with diplomatic ambitions and principles that remained to be defined. Even at the Democratic National Platform in 1900, the Democrats said, "We assert that no nation can long endure half republic and half empire. And we warn the American people that imperialism abroad will lead quickly and inevitably to despotism at home." Yet many developments fed the nation's ambition for overseas expansion. Both farmers and factory owners began to look for markets beyond American shores as agricultural and industrial production boomed. Many Americans believed that the United States had to expand or explode. Their country was bursting with a new sense of power generated by the robust growth in population, wealth, and productive capacity. And it was trembling from the hammer blows of labor violence and agrarian unrest. Overseas markets might provide a safety valve to relieve those pressures. Other forces also whetted the popular appetites for overseas investment. The lurid yellow press of Joseph Pulitzer and William Randolph Hearst described foreign exploits as manly adventures, the kind of dashing daring-do that was the stuff of young boys' dreams. Pious missionaries, inspired by books like the Reverend Josiah Strong's Our Country, Its Possible Future, and Its Present Crisis, looked overseas for new souls to harvest. Strong trumpeted the superiority of Anglo-Saxon civilization and summoned Americans to spread their religion and their values to the backward peoples. He cast his seed on fertile ground. At the same time, aggressive Americans like Theodore Roosevelt and Congressman, later Senator, Henry Cabot Lodge were interpreting Darwinism to mean that the earth belonged to the strong and the fit, that is, to Uncle Sam. This view was strengthened as latecomers to the colonial scramble scooped up leavings from the banquet table of earlier diners. Africa, previously unexplored and mysterious, was partitioned by the Europeans in the 1880s in a pell-mell rush of colonial conquest. In the 1890s, Japan, Germany, and Russia all extorted concessions from the anemic Chinese Empire. If America was to survive in the competition of modern nation-states, perhaps it too would have to become an imperial power. The development of a new steel navy also focused attention overseas. Captain Alfred Thayer Mahan's book of 1890, The Influence of Sea Power Upon History, 1660 to 1783, argued that control of the sea was the key to world dominance. Mahan helped stimulate the naval race among the great powers that gained momentum around the turn of the century. Red-blooded Americans joined in the demands for a mightier navy and for an American-built Isthmian Canal between the Atlantic and the Pacific. A number of diplomatic crises or near wars also marked the path of American diplomacy in the late 1800s and early 1890s. The willingness of Americans to risk war over such distant and minor disputes demonstrated the aggressive new national mood. And so in Chapter 18, we're going to try to understand how individuals and events moved the United States into the role of a world power and recognize the effects of economic policies on U.S. diplomacy.